So Elon Musk threatened Congress today, saying
Mm-hmm.
that if they do not approve his picks, that he is going to fund primary challengers. This is like above and beyond what these people that fund campaigns typically do. Usually they like play on winners and losers. He's just outright saying, "I'm going to undermine our democracy, the nomination process. If anybody doesn't do it, they're getting primaried." I can't think of anything worse for democracy to have that threat looming over Congress. I think it's time that they seriously consider campaign finance reform. And because if not, this is going to be an issue throughout the Trump presidency where billionaires can just come in and go, okay, we'll fund primary challengers if you don't do exactly what we say, undermining the entire purpose of the Constitution. Um, this is like brazen. Like, I own you. Jaden, thoughts?
Well, I was talking about this when you stepped out. It's a dangerous precedent, and it's exactly what Republicans held against for years of a secret government, of a puppet government, of a bourgeoisie. This is exactly what they claim to be against when it comes to Democrats and control of mass media and government agencies. But it somehow, cognitive dissonance hits once again, plays its role, and now it's a complete reversal. Now it's okay that billionaires do this and infiltrate the political process just because it aligns with their philosophy.
Right. Is this not the deep state? An unelected, undemocratic way of having a billionaire, an oligarch, literally fund our elections. And be like, hey, I'm gonna if you don't do what I say, I'm going to punish you. Like the
Mm.
ramifications for this are, and it wouldn't cost him that much money anyways. But I mean, they literally say we don't like the deep state, unelected government people or non-government people controlling what our government does, and then they turn around and do exactly that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the deep state, right? Like, there's no other way to look at this than okay, like he started Doge, the government agency, so that he could manipulate the price of Doge, which there's speculation that he owns a lot of stake in, because somebody's been buying up a ton of it for a long time. So there's speculation that it's him, and so he can manipulate that. He can turn around and say, we're going to do a bunch of stuff in this outside government agency that has no power. And we were sitting here thinking, well, they have no power, right? I think everybody thought that, like, what, this is just, they're just yappers, just carnival barkers, just yapping away. And now he's like, no, I'm going to fund your primary opponent. I don't know how they're not seriously looking at campaign finance reform, like a serious amendment to this. Because if it's not done through the amendment process, the U.S. Supreme Court's going to mess with it. And why isn't this criminal? Like, this is just like this is the worst of our system on steroids. Um,
Yeah, it should
I
be
don't
for
know.
sure.
If this is a looming threat over Congress, then then Elon Musk just controls Congress to do whatever he wants, do the will of Donald Trump. There's no checks and balances. He has ultimate control over them. And the idea here would be a campaign finance amendment. How that would work, still, there's some of the best minds in the country. I've read some of their work. They don't know. They're not 100% on what would be the best thing. But something's got to be better than this. 4 years of him being like, you give Tesla governments. I mean, it feels like blackmail, right? Like, I don't know if it legally
Hmm.
qualifies. That's what
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is, at least morally, at least. I don't know about. Sorry, go ahead. But who's
then
going
you
to stop him?
couple this with him saying, if you put up $1 billion, you get all your everything is a free ride, no environmental regulations. We'll do whatever you want. I mean, it's all about the money.
Right, and I would say that I don't even think, like, in terms of the billionaire thing and them funding it. I don't even think that that's like $1 billion is that much money to be investing in the United States. Obviously, it is, but
No.
it's not like an exorbitant amount. So you're just undermining all of our checks and balances so that you can try and bring business here. That's going to have to go through some regulatory review process that will
Yeah.
cause headaches. But it's not going to bankrupt them if they're going to spend $1 billion. They're not going to be, oh, I got to spend $100 million on this EPA rate. No, that's not the way that's going to work. But I think that it's just the circumventing of democratic norms by a guy that is well, he's an immigrant. I find it funny no Republicans are calling for him to go back to where he came from. Um, but that's kind of where we are. Is we now have Elon Musk controlling everything, and I think the interesting thing about Elon Musk is, let's be real. The guy has largely used his public platform to bolster his wealth because his companies don't turn that much money. They really don't, right? What is it? SpaceX turned $6.8 billion in revenue, which is a lot. That's in a year. Tesla's only recently started posting a couple billion. They're still a small market share, and he has crypto. All the other companies he has have failed or just like tossed away. Hyperloop failed. The tunnel system failed. He hasn't really created that much. He created a car that Republicans hate anyways, and the rest of it has been like investing in crypto and using his public platform to make it, uh, far more prevalent in American society than it otherwise would be. And now this guy I mean, he is a billionaire, but it's kind of like he bullshitted his way to be a billionaire. He's just like continually bluffing. He's like at a poker table. He just keeps going up, And then that's really what this is. And uh, his businesses have not been that successful. Like he should not have this inordinate amount of power. I would think like, Steve Jobs didn't have anywhere near the political power that this guy has. And Steve Jobs' business way more successful. Windows way more successful. Amazon way more successful. On paper, Elon's worth a lot of money, but he has two companies that produce revenue, and both of which have been done on government contracts. So we're in a weird space in America where, interestingly enough, Elon Musk may bring about change in a weird, bizarre way. Because I don't know how long Congress people are going to put up with that before they're like, fine, we'll just publicly fund elections and you're fucked, buddy. Like, I'm a bit,
Right.
I'm a little bit hopeful that it's going to bring about universal reform that would be like bipartisan in nature. Um, a lot of other really bad stuff, but there are some things where I'm like, okay, maybe we make it out of here no problem, or not no problem, but we make it out of here with relatively little issues and with serious reforms that have been made to fix America. Josh?
One of the first things we're gonna have to do is abolish Citizens United. Why we still have that? Why was that even implemented in the first place? Who thought that was a good idea, giving corporations the freedom to vote? Like put their money towards votes. That makes no sense to me.
Republicans.
Yeah, there's also McCutcheon versus FEC, or yeah, McCutcheon versus FEC. There's a bunch of cases like that basically just continually hand over corporate power. And I think the thing is, like, you can't say it's not ideological because they just made this up. They claim, like, Republicans claim to be originalists in the court, meaning they like the state of the text, they're textualists, which is definitely not a sexual preference, although it sounds like one. They, they, definitely not, but it sounds like one. A textualist. They, but they made this up, and I think the thought process when they did it was like, we need to raise more money because Barack Obama and the Democrats are raising more money than us, which is true, right? What was it? Citizens United in 2011, 2010, and
2010.
I think that was like their response. 2010, right? It was their response. Let's raise a bunch of money, and now it's backfired, right? Because the Democrats are raising more money. They just suck at running campaigns, and so now it's not really beneficial for them. And there's actually been a lot of talk among Republicans, even people like Matt Gaetz and Trump, about doing away with campaign finance. That might be something that ends up being bipartisan. That would be a good thing. Is that going to happen though? I don't know. And Trump would probably veto it because he's using the money out of his campaign funds. He's using that money to pay off his bills. You guys, have you ever found it interesting that about once a month he comes up with some random project or sell you where he makes about
What is it
four
this
or
time?
five
Perfume?
million
Trump
dollars?
cologne.
Perfume.
Yeah.
It's almost every month. It's some product to sell that makes him somewhere between $4 and $10 million, and then he takes that money and he puts it in the campaign where he can do whatever he wants with it. And what he's been doing is paying off his debts. He's been paying off his legal fees. And so that's really, I honestly, people are like, why is he doing all this stuff? He doesn't need the money. It's because he's using it as a piggy bank. So would he sign off on that law? I don't know. I would hope that they would find some bipartisanship among this to get rid of, campaign finance aspect, because Elon Musk using this as a weapon against Congress is going to be. I mean, every
I don't know if
time,
Congress.
guys like, approve my SpaceX
Yeah.
contract, or I'll fund your primary opponent. It's so much cheaper for him to do that. A lot of these races come down to a handful of $1 million. So if he's got 20 people that he has to, what does it cost him, $100 million? He doesn't care.
Chump change.
Doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an investment for him. I'm going to get a $10 billion contract. I'm going to make $2 billion in profit on it. I'll threaten this, and if I have to do it, $50 million in and making it later. We'll see.